What is? What is reality? What is modern society? What reality are we consuming? What are the invisible structures of colonialism and modernity? What aren't? What ontological assumptions are there in this reality? Can we agree? Consensus is not the intention. A common language and a description of my positionality is. So recently I cut into a cable and I saw the Crosscut. And as I was reading Yin Parody's article, I thought about this as a graphic that could represent the modern world. So I've called it the Crosscut view of a modern society. It also could be labeled the Christopher Columbus colonial coax cable. And I would think it represents kind of the matrix of power and this idea of progress. And there's a couple of different features. In Yin's article, you have 4 horsemen of modernity. You have institutions like schools, corporations, governments, military. You have nation states. Of course, some of them have bigger populations, bigger draw and power in the world. There's lots of nations without much influence. We have property and capital and how that's been divided amongst taken out of the commons and put boundaries around that. Sorry, we have property and then we have debt and the making of capital, which is represented by a spiral because it really is kind of fictitious in a way. And it's sort of never-ending growth as well. And then outside these main 4 institutions, you have a lot of outsiders, a lot of people that don't belong inside of those. Furthermore, you have a lot of unknown. Just in this coax cable, there's still black and unknown. I think also what's been carved off and put away from, but it is still very much inside the modern world, but it's been protected with a lot of structures, is the hidden away, and that is our relationships, our love, and also the importance of water. I think water is life and love is pure power inside of that cable, but you can see that there's a large void and it's detached from much of it, fractured in a way. UBC researchers Henrik Hein and Norazanen also describe this reality as the weird world. And weird stands for Western, educated, industrialized, rich, and democratic. I also would like to posit that weird could stand for another acronym, which is white, educated, industrial, rational, dudes in denial. So when flying over Alberta, I recognized some patterns, and I think those patterns in development also might be in our head. What are the assumptions that are in the modern head? The assumptions of limitless growth, that progress is the best way, and that we have an abundance of natural resources. And this image represents some of the mindsets that go about doing that work. You know, from the new corporation, you have this mega corporate person like Jeff Bezos that now can deliver any good kind of anywhere in the world, with all this automation and low-cost labor. And you have the fast fashion industry, the hyper-consumerism, and it's kind of in denial of how big the problem is. It's just hyper-individualized, hyper-focused on consumption. You also have a denial of the violence that underlines the system, and this is an image here of the modern prison system, the animal factory, the poultry processing plant, and this source is from Fresh Air 2020, is that we have we've been hidden from all the violence that is underlying our system, including the violence to First Nations, including the violence to people of color, that's of course people do know about, but it's also been quite hidden. We also have the denial of the ecological unsustainability of it all. We have what Vandana Shiva calls the monoculture of the mind, and how we farm and how we present our cities and how we think that there's one idea of progress, and it normally involves a lot of squares and boxes, corporate towers, and the denial of the unsustainability of all that. And finally, we have the denial of entanglement, which is, that we should all live in our separate little houses in what I call the hamster wheel hamlet. And we have schools that are separate into grades, and we have schools that are separate in different communities, and we have little strip malls, and we have all these little consumers running around, and the denial that we are all part of one earth, and the metabolism of what goes in and out, like and our materials and our energies, all has to be dealt with. And we are denying the relationships that we have with the other than human, the water, the air, the animals, the biophilia of the world. So that is a quick image. And to be fair, the time I spent in Alberta in one of these tiny homes, they were beautiful people. We had a nice background barbecue, and we shared in community. So it's sort of like these denials are so prevalent that we just keep going about our business and going to the football games or going to the baseball games and just chugging along. But we're kind of in this pattern of, it's quite a perilous pattern.